Okay, so what I'm going to explain right now is how to create the draft for the top, the bodice, the front bodice. This part in particular is basically coming from center front of the form or your client to the side seam, and in the top of it extends from the high neck point, which is the junction between the neckline and the waist. So on the diagram in the book, I believe in page 34, this is the part that we are going to draft. So we're going to draft from high neck point to the waist. That's the longest measurement. And from center front to the side seam or the underarm. And that's the widest point. I am going to walk you through the steps, and I will be showing you what every measurement is on the in the book and also in the measurement chart. So it is a good idea that if you kind of photocopy these pages in the book, and you can go to the measurement chart for size 8 and transfer these measurements to your book instructions. Doesn't have, if you want to put it on your book, you can do it with pencil maybe, so that you can change it, or you can photocopy the instructions and just plot or put in the measurements for size 8, and you can write down that this is size 8 on your copy, so that it kind of it's faster for you to create the draft. So I'll start by following the book instructions and demonstrating what the book actually is saying. The first line that we are going to create is the center front line. So I will draw, I will use one of the lines of the grid to create a center front line, or a kind of a guideline, to start with a line that represents basically the center front. Okay. And on that line, I will mark a point, which is the B point, and that's the bottom or the waist end of the center front, and the top end of the center front is the A point, which is AB in this case is the full length. What is the full length? According to the diagram, it is from the high neck point, or the junction between the neck and the shoulder, to the waist, passing through the bust point. So again, it is the length from the high neck point, or the junction between the intersection between the neck and the shoulder, going towards the waist, passing through the bust point. Okay, so in the book it tells you that A to B equals full length, and between brackets it says number 6. So what is number 6? You're gonna go to the measurement chart, you're going to go to number 6, and that's full length for the front, because we are drafting the front, and that's 17 and a quarter for size 8, plus 1/8, so that's 17 and 5/8. So I already kind of marked where my waist is. So from B I will go 17 and 5/8, and in this case I will mark where A is. Okay, so A is 17 and 5/8 away from B. So here is A and here is B. Okay, and that's 17 and 5/8. And it's a good idea to get into the habit of writing down your measurements. So if you do something wrong, you can kind of, walk yourself backwards to find out if you got things right or if you missed something. Okay, so here is A and here is B. I need to raise my camera so that I can show the whole measurements. So give me a second. So again, here is A and here is B. The next step is A to C. So from A to C, so we're going to create a perpendicular line to AB, which is center front. I can write center front over here, and that A to C is across shoulder. Across shoulder is on the diagram. It is this measurement over here. So from center front, or from the center of the neck all the way to the shoulder tip. The book says it's the measurement across shoulder, it's 14 minus 1/8 of an inch. So if I go here, I'll go to 14 across shoulder for the front, 7 and 5/8 minus 1/8. So that's gonna be 7.5. So from A, I will create a line that's perpendicular on the center front line, and it is 7.5 inches. Okay, and this point right now is C, and this measurement is across shoulder minus 1/8 of an inch, and it's 7.5 inches. Okay, and from there what I'm supposed to do is to square a line down from C that is 3 inches. So I'll go here, and on C and perpendicular to AC I will go down by 3 inches and just create a platform. This is 90 degrees, okay, and this one is 90 degrees. All right, next what they want me to measure is B to E. So B to E, so from B I will also create another perpendicular line to AB, and that line should be equal to the bust arc. The bust arc is from center front at the bust level. It's here, it's number 17 on the measurement chart. So from the center front at the bust level to side seam, that's what we call the bust arc. So number 17 over here is 9 3/4. So 9 3/4, do we add anything to that? Yes, we add a quarter. So 9 3/4 plus a quarter, that's 10 inches. Again, 9 3/4 plus a quarter, that's 3 inches. So I will square a line from B that is 10 inches long, perpendicular on center front. And this point over here is E, and it's E, and this is 90 degrees, and this is 90 degrees. The next point, or the previous point according to the book instructions, is B to D. B to D, so when the book starts from one point, you start from that point. So it says B, so from the waist, I'll go up to kind of indicate the length of the center front. Okay, so center front length for the front is number 5. Number 5 for the front is 14 and 3/8 measured from B. So from B, I'll go up 14 and 3/8. Do we need to add anything to that? No. So you will just mark the point that is 14 and 3/8 from B up, and that indicates where the neckline will be. And from there, you are supposed to square a line that's 4 inches perpendicular on center front. Okay, so here is a platform or a line, a guideline that's perpendicular to center front, and it's 4 inches long. Okay, so this one is 10 inches and this one is 4 inches. Okay, from there, what do we do next? From B to E, and then from E we will square a line that's 11 inches up according to the book. So I'll go here and using either an L square or the see-through grid ruler, and then you will extend the line that's 11 inches up from point E. That's kind of a guideline where the side seam will be. Okay, so this one is 11 inches. Okay, next B to G. So B to G, B to G according to the book is from the waist, like center front at the waist, to a point, actually it is to the shoulder tip. So that's what we call the shoulder slope. So the shoulder slope, if I bring the diagram, the shoulder slope, or number 7 in this case, it's from center front at the waist to the shoulder tip. Okay, so that measurement is number 7. I'll bring my chart and look at number 7, and that's 7 and 3/8. Do I need to add anything to that? Yes, I need to add 1/8 of an inch. So again, 17 and 3/8 plus 1/8, that's 17 and a half. So what I'm going to do, it's a B to G, so I'll start from B and I'll measure 17 and a half until I touch the perpendicular line that was coming down from C. Okay, and that's the shoulder slope. What that does, actually, it kind of measures where how far the shoulder is from the high neck point. So the highest point is the high neck point, which is the junction between the neck and the shoulder. How much slope do we have? How much is the shoulder tip lower than that point? The shoulder slope gives us that measurement. So 17 and a half, and I marked, and this point is G. Okay, I will extend the line between B and G. Okay, and on that line I need to mark where the bust point is. So the next point is G to H, which is the bust depth. So the bust depth is, if you look at the at the diagram, So the bust depth goes from 6 to or like it's measured from the high neck point at the bust level to the bust point or to the highest point at the bust level of the bust mount. In this case, it is number 9 in the chart. Number 9 in the chart tells me that for size 8, it is 9 and 5/16. So from G, I'll measure towards B, 9 and 5/16. 5/16 is 5 of the small lines on the ruler. This point here is called H. Okay, what I'm going to do next is GI. So from GI is the shoulder length. Okay, so in this case, the shoulder, and it's number 13. So 13 tells me that the shoulder length is 5 and 3/16. So from G, I will kind of try to touch the top line AC at 5 and 3/16. Sorry, shoulder length. I think, yeah, 5 and 3/16. So 5 and 3/16. 3 of the small lines, and I will mark point I over here, and then I will join I and G to indicate that this is my shoulder line, and this is shoulder. Okay, and this one, we said that this is the shoulder slope. Equals 17 and a half. Okay. From I will create a perpendicular line or a square. I will square a line towards the platform that I created at the level at the D level. Okay, here is D, so I'll create a line until I touch the D level. So this is a 90-degree angle. Okay, and now I'm touching D, squared down from I. Okay, next, shoulder length JK. So JK, to find where J is the midpoint between D and B. So I measure between D and B, and that's 14 and 3/8. So half of 14 is 7, and half of 3/8 is 3/16. So in this case, this is point J. And from J, I will square a line that's supposed to touch I wanna correct this one. J actually is a perpendicular line to center front that touches H. So I'll square a line from center front that's passing through H. Okay, it's almost the midway point between D and B, but it's not actually. There is like maybe 3/16 difference. And then from J, I will measure the bust span, half of the bust span. So from J to K equals the bust span, which is half of the distance between the two bust mounts. plus a quarter of an inch. So and it's measurement number 10. So the bust span is measurement number 10. It's 3 3/4 plus a quarter, so 3 1/2. So from J I will measure 3 1/2 and I will mark the point, which is actually kind of exactly touching H in this case, and it's K. So okay, so from there what I want to do is DL, and DL is 1/2 of DJ. So that's the level of across chest. Across chest is the area above the bust. And it touches on the form, it touches the mid armhole point. I can show it to you on the diagram. So this area over here, so from center front to the mid armhole point, is what we call across chest. And the way we measure it on the form or on a client is the area above the bust mount. Okay, passing through the mid of the armhole. So where do we find this kind of level? It's the midway point between D and J. So between D and J, that's 7 inches. Those 3 1/2 inches from either point will get me where I'm supposed to be. Which is point L. And from point L, I will square a line that will basically pass the shoulder slope, and the width of that line is equal to 15, number 15 measurement. Plus 1/4 of an inch. So number 15 is across chest 6 5/8 plus 1/4. So 5 plus 2 is 7/8. So 6 7/8. Okay, 6 7/8, and perpendicular to center front. And this is now point M. Okay, so this here is across chest, and we said it's 6 7/8 of an inch. Okay, and once I got this point, I will extend kind of a platform above and below the point M, perpendicular on the across chest line. Okay, this will help us create the armhole shape once we're done putting everything where it's supposed to. The next thing we're going to indicate is we did LM, square guideline, up and down, B to F. So at the waist level over here, from B, I will measure F, which is called the dart placement, number 20 in the chart, and that's 3 1/8. So from B, I'll measure 3 1/8, and I will indicate point F. Okay, so here is point F, and from point F, they want me to square down as 3/16 of an inch kind of mark, and that's where F is. So this is F right now. So it's 3/16 of an inch down from where the dart placement is. So I'll write here dart placement, and it's 3 1/8 of an inch. Okay, and then I went down 3/16 of an inch. Next, from I to N, so from I over here to N, I need to find that point. That's the new strap. The new strap goes from so this is the new strap measurement, so from high neck point to waist at side seam. So again, from high neck point to waist at side seam. So I'm starting at the high neck point, which is I, and I want to measure a point that will indicate to me where the side seam should be, and it should touch the platform that's going up from E, or the guideline that's going up from E. So that measurement is number 8 plus 1/8 of an inch. So number 8 is 17 and 3/8 plus 1/8, that's 17.5 inches. So from I'll measure 17.5 inches, and I'll kind of move my ruler until I touch the line that I squared up from E, and I will indicate that point, and we will call this point N. So this is point N. From N, I'll go out an 1.25 inches. From N, I'll go up first by the amount of the side length, so the length of the side seam. Side length in this case, NO, is number 11, 8 1/4. Do I need to add anything to that? No. So 8 1/4 from N, and I'll mark point O. 8 1/4, so O is right here, and that's 8 1/4 of an inch. Okay, the following is NP. So from N, I'll go out by 1 1/4, and I will mark point P. Okay, so P, this is P, and from O, I'll go towards P by the same amount of the side seam, and that was 8 1/4. So from O, I'll go 8 1/4 again to touch P. Okay, so from O to P is 8 1/4 of an inch, and then from P I will it says personal fit C formula or adjust after the draft is complete. So that when you basically create your sample, you will correct that point if it doesn't look right on your client. From O to P, side length is directed towards P and ends when it's equal to NO or ON. NO. And then the next thing is P to Q. So what we are going to do is we are going to connect P with F. Okay, so I'll connect between P and F. And on that line, I will indicate P to Q, and P to Q is the rest of the waist arc, so from center front to side seam at the waist level. We took already 3/8 of an inch from B to F, so the remaining amount should be the waist arc minus the 3 inches and 8/8 of an inch. So waist arc number 19, 6 3/4 minus the 3 1/8 plus 1/4. So 6 3/4 is 7. 7 minus 3 and 1/8 is 3 7/8. So from P I'll mark 3 7/8, and this point is point Q. Okay, now what I need to do is I need to draw the dart, so I'm going to connect H to F, and I'll measure from H to F, and that is 7 5/8. So I'll go to the other side and I'll go towards Q, and I will mark 7 5/8. The dart legs should be the same length. So 7 5/8. 7 5/8 over here, and 7 5/8 over here. Which is actually, it's ending at Q. So this is Q, and then what's left is I need to move I need to kind of find the midpoint between F and Q to find the center of the dart. That's 4.5 minus 16th. So I'll do 2.25, and somewhere like in the middle of the 16th before that, and that should be my center point for the dart. I will kind of draw the dart center line, and then on that line I'll go away from the bust point by 5/8 of an inch for the C cup, and this new and then this new point I will connect back to F, and I'll measure it, and that's 7 inches, and I'll go again towards Q, and that's another 7 inches. So I moved my dart. What's left is to curve F back towards B, and I have to now draw the armhole, the neckline, and I will kind of the last thing I will do is I will through this dart. So perpendicular to OP at O, I will create a platform perpendicular on side seam. So now I will use this platform, which is 90 degrees. I will use the M platform, and I will use the shoulder tip to create the armhole. So I'm looking for a curve that will basically connect these 3 landmarks. I'll will use red to show you. So this is the armhole, and then I'm allowed to go beyond this line by 1/8 of an inch, so I'll kind of mark the 1/8 of an inch, and also it needs to be at a right angle over here, but it curves back towards the high neck point. So also I'll find a curve that will connect these three areas together. So here is the neckline, so you can start a little bit after the center and then go to the high neck point. Okay, and that's the neckline in this case. So I have a neckline, I have a shoulder, armhole, side seam, waist dart from bust dart from the bust point to the waist, center front, and that kind of finalizes my my draft. I don't like the neckline that much. I feel like something needs to be fixed about it. It's not too bad, but yeah, I'd rather that it's a little bit wider over here. It's kind of too pointed. So what I'm going to do next is the last thing is to through the bust dart. So to through the bust dart, I will cut my paper piece. Okay, and I will pinch the bust tip, the bust dart tip, and the first leg, and then I will crease the dart leg. Okay, and then I will walk it towards the other dart leg. And they are matching very nicely, so I don't need to do anything. Sometimes they are not matching, and in this case I will curve them to blend them with each other using the tracing wheel. So that finishes the front bodice draft. What's left is for you to either trace it on another piece of paper and leave this as your master draft. So you will put another piece of pattern paper on top of this one and trace the final lines, and this becomes your sloper, and then you will add 1/2 inch seam allowance everywhere except center front, and then from there you will turn your sloper into a pattern that you will cut and then sew to create the sample that you will test on the size 8 form to see if it's fitting correctly or if you need to do any corrections. So this is the draft for the front bodice sloper. All right, I will show you the back now.